All right, so doing the daily ad review is an absolute non-negotiable standard. All the studios up in the $1 Million Studio know how to do this, but they started in complete confusion as well. So listen, like with anything, like with all your clients as well, before they started doing something, it was all foreign to them. For you guys, doing your daily ad review is a 5-minute job. Most of our guys can do it between, in the time that it takes to order a coffee and receive the coffee. You're gonna get such a hang of it. It's so important. When you launch your new campaign, it is like that new campaign is a hospital patient in the emergency room, okay? It's make or break. It's make or break. So the biggest mistake is people don't even look at it again. They launch an ad, they get on with their life and they go, oh yeah, I forgot to launch an ad last week. And then they go have a look at it and they realize they haven't been getting leads or it's been too expensive or, all that kind of stuff. So the opposite is what we're going to do here. You're going to need to do this daily, okay? That's the standard. Make it easy for yourself. Download the Ads Manager app. Log in, get that downloaded onto your mobile now and log yourself in there. Find your ad account and then open that up and then have it there all the time. The aim of the game here is to identify winning ad set ad combos and then just, funnel the budget towards that as much as possible. Remember, we're going to follow our decision tree on managing ad campaigns here. And, again, this might seem confusing at the start, but keep coming to the calls, keep asking questions. And honestly, you're going to be able to, most of the guys up in the $1 Million Studio will be able to teach this now. So you're going to open up your Ads Manager. You're going to be making sure you're using the correct column configuration, like we go through that there. But once you've set that up, it only needs to be set up once. We want you to look at it at an ad set level, last 7 days, okay? Ad set level, last 7 days. You're going to look at impressions first. What we want to see at least 1,000 impressions before we actually make a judgment call on the campaign. Okay. Don't make any changes until it's reached this threshold. If it's reached over 1,000 impression, then you go, okay, cool. What kind of result is it getting? How many leads? That's where I go to. I go straight to how many leads. And if you're getting leads from that ad set, leave it running. Keep going. If you've had over 1,000 impressions with no leads, turn that ad set off. Really simple, okay? If 1,000 impressions and getting leads, on. If 1,000 impressions, no leads, off. And then I'll look at the cost of the result. If your ad set is generating leads, are you happy with the CPLs, which is the cost per leads? Remembering that the type of results that we're happy with, somewhere between 10 to 50, I'm fine with. The profitability of each lead will, heavily rely on your conversion rate. So without getting into it right now, if you're at 90% conversion rate and you're getting $55 leads, I don't care. Keep going because you're converting them all and it's definitely worth it. But yeah, generally speaking, stick to sort of 10 to 50. Are you converting the leads you are generating? If not, it's important to understand why. Why is it your sales process? Are you getting to the leads on time or is it the campaign? You are getting to the leads on time. You're speaking to them, but they're just way off in terms of targeting. It's highly unlikely that if your sales process is airtight, you won't close any leads. So basically what we're saying here is whenever we meet a studio owner and they've had 20 leads with 0 sales, rarely it's the leads. We go to their sales process and typically we find they're not calling the leads on time. They're not calling at the right times and we're not calling enough times. So that becomes an issue there. So again, go through the sales training here. If you are genuinely eyeballing me and go, those, I fucking dare you to put a lead through and I bet you I'll call you within 5. Okay, cool. All right, then move to the next step. We want to look at your CTR, which is your link click-through rate, okay? That's the key metric to tell me whether your market finds this campaign resonating or not. And the magic number is 1%, okay? Above 1%. Anything below that means your ad copy is a bit off or the offer's not sharp enough or whatever it is. If your ad set is below this threshold, but it is generating leads that you are converting, that's fine, leave it on. But if you're getting high cost leads or leads that aren't converting and the CTR is less than 1%, it's an indication that your messaging, your creative, your offer, whatever needs refreshment. If that's it, you go back to the start and go back to that process. Remember, when I said at the start, completely assume that it might not work from the start. If it does, it's a bonus, but continue to work with, myself and my team on this until you start to crank. Now, what you can do then is click into each ads level, complete the same steps at the ad level, So we found a winning ad sets and we've killed ad sets that aren't performing. So now you've got your winning ad sets. You can prune even further to further sharpen where your budget is going because I don't want you to spend any more money than you need to. So then when you open up an ad set, bang, now you're at the ads level. You do the same thing at the ads level. So you're basically looking for winning ads, like you're winning creative per ad set. And if there's a creative that's been seen over 1,000 times, but it's produced fucking a donut for you, just turn that off. So now we start to feel like we've got a winning combo and ad, like a winning ad set and ad combo. And that is money making time. So every week, what I want you to do is I want you to do a creative rotation as well. Be prepared to get new creative in your ad sets so that you never get to the point where you've left it too late. All the ads and all the creative options are blowing out. And now it's going to turn it all off and you got to wait, half a week or a week before you get around to doing it all again. And so what happens there is it's a week out of market for you, which means you're not going to hit your weekly or your monthly targets for lead flow, which means it's impossible for you to hit your sales numbers and every other number. So that's super important, okay? Like get used to understanding, okay, when you've got your winning ad and ad set combo, it's like, what kind of creative is working really well? And then just do more of that, which is what this is saying here. And again, this is the step-by-step guide on how to refresh your campaign in Ads Manager. But look, we'll have additional videos on this. You'll get used to it. Come to the live calls. We can do this live on the spot with you, and you're going to be absolute animals at this. So once your campaigns are live, now you go into managing your campaign and hopefully scaling it as well because it's working so well. We want to multiply the results. Now, the new standard here for you guys, now that you've launched a campaign and you've brought that power in-house to like run your campaigns and really understand marketing your business, is consistency and taking ownership and accountability for the results of your campaign. So think of it as a hospital patient. If you don't give them the daily medicine, change their drip, check in on them every single day, their health will deteriorate and their levels will deteriorate. The same thing as your ads, right? They will fatigue. Like with anything, I'm just telling you right now. So before you get there and before you fucking panic, I'm telling you right now, with anything in life, just like ads, there is a birth, there is a life, and then there is a death. Same thing with your campaigns. They will get to a point where it fatigues or it doesn't do as well. That's okay. It happens to every one of us. We just need to make sure that we're monitoring that every single day and knowing what to do with it. So I just want to make sure that you know that it's your job now to make sure that you spend, honestly, it's like these days it's so much easier. So you're spending 5 to 10 minutes a day reviewing your active campaigns and making the right decisions to keep them running, in good health. So first thing I want you to do is I want you to download the Ads Manager app to your phone, the Facebook Ads Manager app. And then you're going to follow the step-by-step guide here on how to do your daily review. It's a 5-minute job. Honestly, when I order my coffee, in the time that it takes for them to make the large long black, I literally open my app and I'll do it. I have a quick check, turn things off, leave things going, check in to see which one's doing the best. Great, and that's it. And then they order, and then they yell out my name and then I'm ready to go. It takes no time at all these days. Okay, so we'll run through that. Now, when you get to the point where your ads are doing really well, you want to start to scale, which means turn up the ad spend. The point at which we kind of want you to do that is when you've hit 40% conversion rate on your sales, maybe you've turned the price up now of your offer because you're doing that well, and now you want to just increase the lead flow because you're so confident now because you're rolling over at 80% as well. So this is when we do it. Now, there's 2 types of scaling. There's horizontal and there's vertically scaling. The vertical scaling is basically when you increase your budget by 20% every 2 to 3 days. Okay? Don't just think that if you're getting 10 leads at $100 ad spend, I'm just using easy maths here, but if you're getting 10 leads at $100 ad spend and you're happy with the CPL, then let's put $1,000 in there and we're going to be getting 100 leads. It doesn't work that way. It's not that linear and the bloody machine breaks. I wish it was easier than that, but it's not. So what we need to do is, at the moment, it's 20% every 2 to 3 days. Now, we expect that might change. We expect Zuck's going to wake up one day, change the algorithm, and that might change. So when that does, we'll let you know. Don't worry. And then let the data average out and then repeat the process. Now, it's not uncommon, okay, team? So again, before you panic, it's not uncommon to see a slight increase in cost per result, cost per lead, when this happens. Because what's doing is the algorithm's just kind of settling itself. It's relearning and it's settling itself. So as long as you're still within your other KPIs, this is okay. So as long as you're still getting your conversion rates and you're still rolling them over and they're still the right people, that's okay. Just live with it. Now, if you increase the budget and your cost per result completely fucking blows up, drop the budget back down to the previous amount that it was stable at. If that doesn't fix the problem, then pause the ad set and relaunch at the original budget. Okay? So first step is like 20% every 2 to 3 days. If it works, eventually, like it just needs to resettle, fine. Keep going and do it again. If you got more in the tank. Just so you know, I was spending $150 a day when my leads were cranking. So don't be afraid to do that because you're making profit on the offer because you guys are killing it. If you do turn up the ad spend and it fucking blows up, just bring it back down to the original budget. And if that still doesn't work, then just relaunch the campaign again at its original budget because we knew it was working. That's vertical scaling. Now the horizontal scaling is when we stack your niche. So if you've been going after, segment A, now you're going to do segment B alongside segment A. So you instead of spending $80, a day on this one segment, you're spending $80 across 2 segments. So this is, we absolutely want you guys to get there, but not if you're within the first kind of 6 to 10 weeks with us. Some of our $1 million studios who have perfected a niche, now they're going after the second one and the third one. Maybe they've been with us for about 6 months, okay? So I want you to focus on that. Or if you're being after females, then you go after males at the same time, right? But I want you to really focus on making sure that, and so when you do that, you basically repeat the process that you did to get this campaign up and running. So you do your avatar, you do your research, you write some new copies, you get some new creatives, and then you go again because you know how to set it up and bits and pieces. That's a really exciting stage, but definitely check in with your coach to make sure that you're ready for that. For right now, a lot of people could do, in our experience, a lot of people can go much deeper into their avatar and make sure that all your percentages are really optimized before we focus on complicating it by adding a second or a third segment. And again, make sure that you are managing your new campaign using the decision tree that we've been through here in terms of when to change the ads, when to up the spend, where the roadblock might be in terms of, the performance of your campaign.
If we look at all time and we look at 8 lead, do we want more? Absolutely. Can we get them? Absolutely. But what I will say is if we have 8 leads and 0 sales, it doesn't tend to always be a lead problem. That to me says that it's a bit more of a sales problem. Would I like more leads to test that on and to kind of really review that process? Totally would. But with 8 leads, we should have at least 1 or 2 sales if following that process that is in the training. So just something to think about there and review. When I look at these ads, so here's what I see. The first thing I look at is impressions. So I'm going to go, is it over 1,000 impressions? And the answer here is yes, it is. So that means I can make a decision. Then I go, all right, did it get me a result? Did it get me a lead? And the answer again is yes. Then the third question is, am I happy with the cost of that result, the cost per lead, $49.90. Now, in most cases, contextually at this time of year, marketing does become more expensive. Does that mean that we want to optimize for less still? Yes, we do. But if we're converting, we can be okay with a higher cost per lead. It really comes down to your conversion rate and your offer price. So for example, if you were at a 30% conversion rate, you had a $200, $300 offer, you're spending $150 to get 3 leads. You convert 1, so the cost to acquire a customer is $150 and they pay you $300, so your profit is $150. So you can be okay with a $49 cost per lead, for example. So if I look and click in here, none of these ads are actually at 1,000 impressions yet. What I can see is the one ad that generated a lead for you, it actually came through at $13.50, which is awesome. And the ad that did it is this image here. Okay. So that's the one that is getting you the best result in this ad set. Now, the other thing that we can see is that is getting a 1.93% click-through rate, which is epic. Again, the benchmark is 1%. This means that this ad is really resonating with this audience. So the reason why the cost per lead is slightly higher than we would like it to be, again, that's a factor though of how much you can afford and are willing to pay based on your conversions, is because this ad has actually spent $30 and it hasn't got a lead yet. So it is creeping up to that 1,000 impressions. I would be inclined to switch that one off and let the budget flow to this, because the less the cost per lead is, the more leads you can get per day with a budget per day of about $40. So if you've got a $49 cost per lead and a $40 a day budget, you can't really get more than 1 lead every 2 days. If you're getting $13 or $20 leads though, then you're laughing. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is this is your top performing ad set and your click-through rate is awesome. So I just want to stress to you, this ad is doing very well. There's some real promise with this ad. It's just about being smart with where the budget goes and then making sure that we're converting. Especially with a high click-through rate, I would be surprised, I suppose, if we're getting 0 conversions following the full process. So it might just be an audit of that, actually. So when I click into this ad set, the broad ad set, I can see that we've got a pretty even distribution of the audience that this is hitting. This is definitely your top performer. So if I preview that one, It's the same image, which is really good for you to know. This is a winning ad set and ad combo. This image is getting you the most leads, hands down, across now 2 ad sets. So that's definitely something to take note of. Because when you do your creative refresh, like we speak about in the ad review and the increasing the efficiency of your campaign, if you know that a group shot is the one that's getting you the most leads and maybe this video isn't, then you would do more shots that look like the one that's winning. So again, in here, we've got 1,300 impressions. We've got 1 lead and a $40 cost per lead. So you could say, do you know what? I'm not 100%, like I don't really want that to keep running because the click-through rate's a little bit lower, the budget's a little bit, the cost per result's a little bit higher. I'm going to switch that off as a test to see what we can do with pushing budget towards this ad that is working. This is just in your head how you could kind of think about it. What I would be inclined to do though is like, this is an ad that has got over 1,000 impressions and no results. It's spent $35. I would definitely turn that off because it's choking your budget, right? Like we want the budget flowing to these ads that are really performing for you. Click-through rate is like through the roof here. So same thing with this, you could probably turn that one off. I'm not going to do it for you. I want you to make the decision. I did turn this one off, but like this is a decision for you to make based on your click-through rate is the factor there. So then we go into the last ad set that is the lookalike, which has got you a result. And once again, like this one's performing really, really well. 1 lead at $40, a 1.81% click-through rate. If I look at the image, it's the same image that's performing really well for you. This is not over 1,000 impressions yet. These ones have only spent less than $5, so I would leave those ones. But once this hits 1,000, if it hasn't got the result that you're looking for, you definitely want to funnel as much budget towards this ad as possible. Last ad set is this one. This is the interest ad set. It's got over 1,000 impressions, 0 leads. It's spent $60, which means your average cost per lead will be higher. And the click-through rate is the lowest of all ad sets. So for whatever reason, maybe the interests that you've selected aren't resonating, like the people who are interested in the things that you've selected aren't interested in what you've got on offer. And that's not a bad thing, it's just a test. So when I look at this ad set, I would definitely have switched this one off before it spent too much. And then again, you've got options. You can go, these have actually spent like less than $20 collectively. The click-through rate's high enough that I do want to give that a test. This is the same one, same image that's got a really high click-through rate. Or you could say, do you know what? These ads are actually working really well for me. I'm going to switch the whole ad set off. Because remember, what we're looking for is a winning ad set to ad combo, which, for example, is your broad audience or your broad ad set, and then this ad. That's your winning combo there. Hope I'm making sense. Rewatch this again and again until it kind of like all clicks into place. I know that the lingo and the jargon can sometimes be like, what are you talking about? But it will become your second language. But you've got to do this daily ad review every single day and not just look at it, but actually make those decisions, all right? If you're going, for example, over 1,000 impressions, no result, turn it off. Over 1,000 impressions, couple of results, not happy with the cost, turn it off. Maybe you're okay with the cost, but the click-through rate's lower than some of the other ads that are performing well, turn it off. And what we're looking for is we get to a point where maybe, you know, after every single day going through the ad review, you've got all of these 3 ads off. This one's the only one that's on. It's crushing it. So in a week or two, when you go through and do your creative refresh, you're going to duplicate the whole campaign. You're going to run this ad again, and you're going to test another 3 creatives that look very similar to this one because we know that it resonates with your audience. Cost per lead. So the thing is, at this time of year, everyone is out there in market. So your marketing costs will rise. So then it's going to come down to what your personal CPL threshold is. With a $249 offer and a $40 to $50 cost per lead, I'm actually okay with the odds there because you're converting them. So you're still profiting over $100 per sale. So it all checks out. Obviously, we want to reduce the cost per lead and optimize for less so then you can get more of them with the same budget. But yeah, as just a general rule of thumb there, I'm actually not concerned about even creeping up to like a $65 cost per lead. In some cases, the maths can still check out. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be, I can see that your interest audience is definitely choking your budget. So $100 has gone there with no result. We've got over 4,000 impressions and the click-through rate is just low. So I'd be turning that one off so that the budget can flow to this audience, or even both audiences, but particularly this one, because like you said, it's performing the best. The video is getting you some really cheap leads. I'm actually okay with that, but I understand why you turn that off so we can get more budget going in here. But same thing with this ad set. This got a $30 lead. So I want to see what happens to that one if we can get more budget allocated to it. So those would be the first couple of things. Turning off interest audience just out of curiosity. I had a look at the interests that you're targeting. I thought it might be worth potentially reviewing the interests that you've got set up for this ad. If you relaunch, it just might not be like the people who are interested in this stuff are also interested in what you've got on offer. And I probably think it might be because it's a bit of an older demo. I know you've used these before with your Fit Over 40s. I just think it'd be worth testing that, see what ChatGPT thinks would be better as interest for this audience and this offer. And when you relaunch with new creatives, it could be worth testing out. So those would be my initial thoughts. I looked at your copy. I really like it. It's really good. And if we talk about the creative, then they are all quite similar, which I assume is because they were top performers in previous campaigns and we've relaunched with them. So what I do know is working at the moment is a creative that has the offer right there. So I would even be inclined to this thing, 4-week Fit Over 40s, put it here instead, because you can see that in this ad that's performing the best. It's like per eyeball got the highest click-through rate overall. It's got the offer right there. And I'm seeing that across a lot of ad accounts at the moment. People are lazy. They don't want to have to work for understanding what it is that you're showing them. So I would test some of that in your new creative, just start getting some ready. So then again, when you do relaunch, you can add that in. Last thing I was just going to say is, again, you're always just looking for those winning combos. So at the moment, your lookalike audience ad or vid one is your winning combo. We want to funnel as much budget as possible to that. So really keeping an eye on what is and isn't working, which I know you would be anyway. And this is the one that's killing you at the moment. So I'll let you switch that one off. Let me know if you have any questions. So now that your ad is live, definitely what's going to help you to feel really clear on what's happening with your ads and get a real good understanding of things is completing the daily ad review. There's training on this in school. It's in like the Meta Ad Basics part of the Sale a Day Sprint course. So that's going to be an absolute non-negotiable standard for you guys now, is like the daily ad review and adjustments where required, daily follow-ups once the leads do start coming through to make the sales, and then tracking. So any money that you guys spend right now is going to be super beneficial because it's going to give us an idea of what's going on, give us more data so we can make better decisions and continue to sharpen the ad. Now, when I look at this at the campaign level, I can see that your current click-through rate is quite low. So the benchmark is 1%. When it's not quite there, it indicates to us that we might need to do some work on that offer and or avatar. So it's not quite hitting the mark. It might need to sharpen just a little bit so that we can really hook the market. But let's investigate. So first things first, we want to look at our last 7-day view. Obviously, it's going to be very similar because you've launched this in the last week. Next thing we look at is impressions. So if it hasn't had over 1,000 impressions, we don't change anything. Not enough eyeballs have seen it. This is obviously over that, which is great. So then I'll click in and look at the ad sets, and you can see only 2 of your ad sets have actually reached enough impressions for us to do anything. Your lookalike audience, your warm audience have only spent 18 cents and $15, so I wouldn't do anything there. But for your interest and your broad audience, it's definitely great to jump in and have a look at, okay, what's going on. So broad audience first. So there's only one ad that has reached over 1,000 impressions, and this is the one that has spent the most, $24. I would be turning that one off. Because what you want to do is you want to make sure that if it's not generating a result for you after having seen enough eyeballs, we don't want that underperforming ad to choke the lead flow and the budget, sorry. So we don't want it to choke the budget if it's not getting you a result. The rest of these, I'd let them run. I'd come back tomorrow. I'd keep checking on it daily in the time it takes you to make your coffee or order one. You can see as well the click-through rate there. So this is just, again, it's an indication of resonance. It's something in this creative or ad just isn't hitting the mark for your broad audience. So it might even be the label boss ladies. They might not actually think of themselves in that way for some reason. Maybe we need more data, but I'm just having a look at what we could change in there. Copy looks pretty good though. So again, I would just switch that one off, which I've already done for you. And then I'm coming back into my ad set level. I'm going to look at my interest targeting. It's got a higher click-through rate, still not where we want it, but it's spent the most amount of money in total. So then I'm going in here. Again, only one of your ads has reached over 1,000 impressions, but it has spent $56, which is why the budget spend is like feeling a bit higher. This is very interesting. So look, I'm going to turn this one off. No result after over 1,000 impressions. It's not going to be part of our winning ad set ad combos. Just going to look at that ad and see why, what is it that maybe wasn't working well. Again, nothing wrong with it, but for whatever reason, that one wasn't resonating with your audience. Interestingly enough, the one creative that was not performing in your other ad set is getting a higher click-through rate over here. It's only spent $4, so we can't really say too much. Yeah, 300 impressions. But for this particular ad set, it's hitting more. So now we have turned this one off. It was kind of hogging some of that budget. And now we want to continue to allow these ads to reach 1,000 impressions so that they have a chance at actually getting enough people to see them. Same with these two ad sets. Again, haven't had enough eyeballs on them. And the other thing is that once you get more and more data through here, what we're really looking for is a winning ad set and ad combination. So for example, all of your leads you might find end up coming from your interest ad set, ad one. I don't know, I'm just making it up, but that's kind of what we want to look for. If we're happy with the impressions, tick. It's getting results, tick. Are we happy with the cost per result? If we are, then we want to scale that ad and ad set combo. The other thing we'll obviously look at is like, are we converting those leads? So yeah, that's just a short little crash course. If you have more questions, definitely come to the coaching calls. Definitely there's a campaign data review form that you can use. It's in the bookmarked links in your Slack channel, but let it have enough data through it so that we're looking at something super meaningful, and do this daily ad review from now on so you can keep the ads flowing and working. When I look at this, I'm always looking at the last 7 days ideally. And if I go into the ones that are active, I can see that in the last 7 days, all of these have actually generated leads for you. I probably won't go into the kids party one, but just talking about the 28-day summer wellbeing, there's some results going on there. I'm going to go to this campaign first. I assume you've got two because you've relaunched the broad audience in the other one. So what I can see right now and all time for this campaign is it is a top performing campaign. So as long as you're converting, this is a killer campaign. You've done really well with hitting the nail on the head on your avatar and your offer. It's generated some very cheap leads for you. This is like absolutely like any owner's dream. So I'm really curious as to why this ad set might be turned off. Again, it looks like that's the one that you've relaunched. Maybe that was about intent or getting more pickup or something like that. But I thought it was interesting that this ad 3, this creative right here, is your top performer in not only this ad set, but it's also generated the most leads for you in this ad set, 19 at $9.40. So that's good for you to know for when you relaunch and refresh the campaign, that that's something that the market is responding to. If I go through to your ad sets, all time, what I can see is, remember, if we go back to the ad review, first we look for impressions. If it doesn't have over 1,000 impressions, don't touch it. So these two, like this one hasn't even spent any money. These two I would not have turned off because they simply didn't get the budget required for us to make that judgment call. And actually this one, $8 lead. And when you go to the ad level, it was actually a $5 lead generated from this ad set. So I definitely would have kept those ones running. In fact, I would have kept all of them running. So I know there would have been a reason why you switched it across, but from what I can see, this is a great campaign. If I was going to tweak anything, like maybe I would come into this audience and switch off this ad, only because it's a bit more expensive and maybe the budget towards these two would generate more leads for you. However, that's still a really good cost per lead. And if you were selling them at whatever your offer price is, it's extremely profitable for you. So that would be my first question, is like, curious to know what happened that had us turn ad sets off before they were able to run and get a true test of what like their performance was. Second thing would be this broad audience, why we've switched that one off. And third question would be, of the leads generated, how many of those did we sell? I'm assuming there might be an issue with the sales conversion. So we've come across and we've got this test running for the broad audience, which again has generated 3 leads at $13. Now I noticed that your daily budget for this campaign was only $10. So if you're feeling like you're not getting the lead flow that you need, it's going to come down to if you've got, even let's just call it a $13 cost per lead and $10 a day, then how many times does 12 or 13 go into 10? Like less than 1. So you can really only get less than 1 lead per day, even if the campaign is performing. That's why we do recommend launching with a $40 a day budget minimum and then scaling from there if it is converting. Also just have a look at your click-through rate. Yeah, pretty good click-through rate. We're looking for a 1% click-through rate. This one's doing the best. Looks like you've used that top performer as well. So just in this test, okay, this one's the one that's getting you the results. Strangely enough, but it doesn't have enough eyeballs on it yet to say anything. But the one that's generating the leads for you in that other campaign is not the same one as in this campaign. If I go into here and I'm looking at your click-through rates on this campaign, yeah, this is exactly what I would expect. We're pretty much bang on exactly where we want it to be. If we go maximum, yeah, it's a really strong campaign. That 1% here, I would be really kind of surprised if you had a low conversion rate after following the full sales process with such high click-through rates, because it tells me that you've got a really resonant campaign. The people are loving this. Like these stats are epic, Louise. Same thing here. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, that's why that one's getting so many leads. So that would be my feedback for you. Feels like the campaign's a little bit all over the shop, which is fine. We can help clean that up, tidy that up. But let me know your feedback on those 3 questions. Yeah, what happened that had us turn off some of these ad sets before 1,000 impressions? What was the thinking behind turning the broad audience off specifically when it's getting a result? And then how many of these 86 leads have we sold? I'm looking for about 28 to 30 sales, because usually if there's, I don't know the performance again, I haven't been here, I've been offline, but usually if we have like a whole ton of leads but not conversions, it's not a lead problem. And that's actually a good thing. So if you give me a little bit of an idea of where you're at, I can help you with the next steps. And don't worry if you're feeling confused about any of this. This is why you're here. It's a learning curve and you're going to become an absolute pro at this in no time. I'm just looking at the ad here. It looks like the whole thing's been turned off. What you want to do is you want to look at it at an ad set level, but then you want to kind of click in and have a look at each of the ads. So the answer to your question is I would not have turned the ad set off. You can easily switch it back on now. But when you've got a result, you've got impressions, maybe the cost per result is a little bit high, but then if you click in, the reason why it's high is because this ad 1, is not performing. And so it's spent a bit of budget or the most budget within this ad and not got you a result, which means that the 1 lead that you did get had a higher cost per lead. So what I would have done is turn that one off. That one didn't perform. However, this shows real promise right here. So you've actually had 1 lead at a $20 cost per lead. And if I have a little look here at your click-through rate, yeah, your click-through rate is pretty high on this one. It looks like it's high on this one, but low considering 1,000 impressions. This is a similar click-through rate with half the amount of people having seen it. So yeah, all in all, the reason why the cost per lead would go up, meaning that you can't get as many leads per day, is because the budget was being choked by this one. So I'd let this one run. This one hasn't even spent any money, and the rest of the ad sets are totally fine to keep spending, actually, except for this broad one. So I would turn that one off and keep this one on. And then I'll just turn the whole campaign back on. Let me know if that helps. Definitely now is where we want to start doing your daily ad review. So we always go to the last 7 days, and then you're looking at the campaign level. Did I get any results, and have I reached enough impressions to go any deeper? So yes, you have, because you're over 1,000 impressions and you've got 4 results. On that cost per lead, obviously we would want to see a slightly lower cost per lead traditionally, but because your concept is slightly different and the offer that they go onto and then eventually turn into as full paying members might be higher, I'm actually okay if this sits a little bit higher than what I would normally recommend. It's just going to come down to your conversion rate really. But yeah, some positive results so far. So what we look at here is firstly impressions. So if it's not over 1,000 impressions, we do not make a judgment on it. This one is, and we haven't got any leads from that audience. So I would turn that one off. I'll do that for you. This one's almost at 1,000 impressions and it hasn't yet gotten a result. So keep an eye on that one tomorrow. You might need to turn that off. But you can also see here, the average cost per lead, or the amount spent rather, is higher because of this ad set, which didn't get you a result. So we always want to turn that off and allow the money to flow towards these two audiences that are actually getting $30 and $26 cost per lead. So a good result there. So again, this one's getting you one lead at $30. I'll click into that one. We'll just take a look. So as expected, not enough impressions on any of the ads just yet. Let's have a look at your click-through rate and see how that's going. So we always want to look at click-through rate, link click-through rate, apply. Wow. So a good click-through rate is 1%. And so far, obviously there's not enough eyeballs for us to tell, but that's looking high. This is low and it's had the most eyeballs, but it's also got the click. So all that is telling us is like resonance. So is the offer resonating? Is the creative resonating? And we'll make a judgment on that once it's got over 1,000 impressions, but just wanted to have a look at that. Now we've got this one. So the one ad in this ad set that's generated all of the leads is ad 2. So that tells us it's the top performer, and looks like, yeah, you've got some strong click-through rates here. So we always go impressions, results. Am I happy with the cost per result? Yes. And then we look at, am I converting those leads yet so that it becomes a profitable offer? And if not, then we will look at the click-through rate as an indication of like a cut through in the market. We might need to sharpen some things, as I mentioned before, and the better and faster we can get that retargeting campaign out, the warmer these leads will be to then like answer the phone when you do call. So again, I'm not going to touch anything here because none of these have reached enough impressions, and the one that has got you a result. So we're happy with that. Let's go to this last audience. Yeah. So we keep an eye on that one. Nothing to change here. And that's it.
All right, once you're launched, here's how to increase the efficiency of your campaign. Now, there is no better use of your time, no matter how big your business is. You know, this is a multi-7-figure business, and I still get in there every single day and look at this. There's no better use of your time to increase the efficiency. There's no better use of your time, rather, than to increase the efficiency of your marketing campaigns once you have it running, okay? If you can double your lead to conversion ratio, for example, you could double your entire business. It's way more important than folding that merch or responding to those emails or like cleaning the toilets again. By increasing the efficiency of the campaign, what you're doing is you're shortening the sales cycle, you're manipulating the sales cycle to get back more cash from your ad spend and increase the profitability of your company overall. So some of these things you can sort of do manually by optimizing your funnels or your lead intent, whereas other systems you'll set up that kind of automate things. So that I just want to make sure that there's some intervention that you need to do, and then there are some things that the software can do. But there's two really important ones that I want you to focus on, is optimizing your campaign for improved conversions and sales booking calendars. They're the two big ones that I wanted to kind of mention. So, but I don't want to do any more work. Now, a great marketing campaign should be profitable on its own. But when you first launch your marketing campaign, okay, there's about a 99% chance that it might not be great. Just going to say that again. Just accept that you've got more chance of it not working than working at the very start. So if that does happen, I'm not wishing this upon you, but if it does happen, don't panic. I'm telling you now that might more often than not be the case. So until we get there, we're going to do some leveraged additional work to increase the profitability and the revenue of your company and your business by doing this, okay? So then when you do have a great marketing campaign, you're going to find more money to put it back into the machine so it produces at a higher rate or an accelerated rate than it is right now. That's when we call the scaling phase. So there's managing phase, then the scaling phase, which again is like one of the best uses of your time as the business owner. Many times the difference between our clients that absolutely crush it with their marketing and those who are just breaking even are these simple actions that they take on a daily basis, okay? That's the only difference. They run the same type of sessions. Most of their other business is the same. It's just how well they execute these daily actions. All right, so if you're getting lots of leads, but they're not picking up, first I want you to make sure that this isn't actually a sales or follow-up issue. You've tried all the proven methods to increase pickup rates. So you go through this training here. Trust me, most of the time that leads aren't picking up is because you're not getting to them fast enough. But let's just assume you're doing all the sales best practices that we've taught you and you've been coming to the calls and you've been getting the live coaching on that. Let's focus on the leads itself. Now, first thing I want you to do, I want you to add some qualifying language to your copy. So add qualifying language to your ad copy. So you might say things like politely no time wasters, or we're looking for, the avatar who are serious about their health and fitness, or like, ready to go now. Like this is a this year thing, not a next year thing. Add in some qualifying language to your ad copy. Or you can add some disqualifying language. It's not for these types. In your CTA, you could also include a line that makes it clear that you will be calling. This is an example here. Click the learn more button below and be ready for one of our coaches to personally call you and secure your spot. So like they're expecting a call from you. Another piece to consider is labeling in your ad copy. So as much as possible, try to keep it positive. So if you say busy mums, they're likely going to be too busy to answer the phone. So instead, dedicated mums or motivated mums. So you can see how we're playing to who they want to be, not who they are just now. And if all of this has been applied with no improvement, then you might need to revise your avatar overall, okay? So you either haven't got the right one to begin with, or you haven't gone deep enough on their pain points. So you're getting kind of surface level type inquiries because the solution isn't really resonating with them right now. The best thing to do here is to review who has bought, like look at your current members or your last 20 sales. What are the similarities between what they said or what they're looking for? And then apply this and make sure that it's reflected in your new ad copy. Another way you can increase the efficiency of your ad campaign is you can add a higher intent form. If you're getting heaps of leads, but maybe you're questioning the quality, what you can do is in the ads manager, when you set up your leads form, you can add what we call a higher intent form. So what this does is it gives them another step to further qualify them during the lead application process. As a bit of a science in sort of surveying and lead forms and things like that, the more questions you put in, the more drop off you get in terms of the types of responses. But the theory is that the increase of quality of those responders outweigh the quantity of responses. So it's a quality versus quantity thing. And what you do is in the ad level, either click create form, see how it's circled here. So click create form and then the form editor will appear. And then you see the check mark, bang, you just select this. You select this. You select higher intent, which adds a review step that gives people a chance to confirm their information. What that should do is it should get rid of the, oh, I didn't do that, did I? I didn't do that. My son did that. It's like, no way your fucking son did that. You did that. Because I know that I've got a higher intent form. So that's a really simple way. It takes you 2 seconds. That's a really easy one. So this is where when you create an instant form for your lead ad, you can just use the pre-fill questions or you can ask a custom question. So a custom question enables you to get answers of specific questions that are most important in terms of you qualifying your prospects. You can include a total of 15 questions. I wouldn't bloody do that because otherwise you'd almost get no one responding. So this is how to do it. Yeah, create an instant form, click questions, go to custom questions down here and add question. And then select a specific question type that you want to create from the drop-down menu. So questions, add question, multiple choice, short answer, appointment request, store locator. Now, if you use a multiple choice one, you're basically having a few different options. So, you might use this as a, like what we do in German is like we might ask revenue brackets. We want to qualify those that have broken even versus those that haven't. In your case, you might have postcodes. You might have different sort of options that are really easy for them to choose and really easy for them to know. How much do they want to use? I mean, that might be a stupid idea, but that's the idea. A short answer, ask open-ended questions. Or the other option is with multiple choice is like, do you live or work around the whatever area? And they've got to tick yes. A short answer might be like, you might ask a question around, if you had to choose, what is the most important goal for you right now? And then they've got to have a short answer. Appointment request. This is where people can request a time and date to make an appointment with you, which is like a sales call that you can have with them. Or store locator is that enables people to search for a nearby store or location. It uses what's kind of pre-filled in your business manager, but I suggest this down here. Do you live or work in the X area and looking to work on your health and fitness? You can even say like now, in the next 4 weeks. And obviously you want people to like choose that. And yes, then they go to the next step in the lead form. If they hit no, you want to present them a different page and you don't pay for that lead. Okay. And then you continue to complete the instant form. So that's how you set up the additional custom question to increase the quality of your lead flow.